Historically speaking, children have been off limits to the functional CPG industry. But do those rules hold weight anymore? So there's always been this kind of like unwritten rules, kind of like baseball. You kind of shout out the Mariners wearing the polo. Hopefully they don't do all that terrible this year, even though a lot of people are predicting that they're not going to win more than 60 games. But that is getting me off track. If we're looking at these unwritten rules, especially if you're talking about like the sports nutrition, kind of like sports or niche side of the VMS, the vitamins, minerals, and supplements category, there wasn't really any products specifically that were targeting the youth kind of population. But if we kind of like think back to when we were children and before we could even have any memories, when we were just a baby, we actually were already consuming supplements, ready to mix supplements, powdered kind of formula products, maybe like a Similac, which is really just like a watered down vitamin-fortified meal replacement shake. So it has like powdered milk, it has whey protein concentrate, it has a ton of other kind of things in there. And then as we grew up, we shifted into more kind of supplement use. Maybe we used Flintstones vitamins that we took for the longest time. Maybe our parents had some of that like Carnation, different breakfast drink that were ready to mix, and then maybe even further along those ready to drink offerings as well when we were kids, kind of on the run and drinking some of those products. So the tradition of us consuming supplements really is kind of ingrained to us at the beginning. It's not all that odd, but the companies that were focused on offering these products were billion-dollar plus brands or billion-dollar plus portfolios of a bunch of like CPG, food and beverage, or pharmaceutical or over-the-counter medicine type of brands. But that has slowly changed and things have started to erode over the last 5 to 7 years. You're starting to see more offerings being put towards the youth market. And one of the reasons why that could happen is a lot of millennials, they're now in the market and buying for their kids. Millennials had a lot more information at their fingertips. They understood maybe food and nutrition a little bit better than their parents. They wanted more for their children. So they started to maybe look for products that were specifically rooted to help the nutrition for their children. And you actually can see that with some kind of data. One that compares like diet scores from children in 1999 over children in 2016. And you just look at validated dietary quality scores and actually like the kids on the lowest end, so the worst diets, in 1999, about 77% of kids had this very low quality diet score. But if you look at this in 2016, that number actually decreases to around 56%. So a lot of improvement that's happened, though obviously the challenge still is there to always try to make sure that your kids are eating a well-balanced diet. They're getting the most amount of nutrients possible for, their brain development, their growth, all the different kind of attributes that a parent would be looking at to make sure they're supporting for their children. Now, COVID-19 effect happened, and I talk about the COVID-19 effect in a lot of different ways, and really it's just the driver of some different trends. And I think it sped up a lot of things. It definitely didn't create anything new in this category. I think it just kind of sped up a lot of things. And I want to make sure that before I kind of get into a lot of this information, I make a disclaimer to say that though a lot of things I'm going to be talking about is the improvement of diets because of COVID-19 and just some other things that are going on in the market, there is kind of the nasty side of this, the bad side of things. And COVID-19 caused a lot of malnutrition for kids. A lot of kids that were needing to eat there maybe one meal a day or 2 meals a day in school. They didn't have that available to them as homeschooling, and parents needed essential parents, and a lot of different things happened. A lot of things fell through the cracks. Unfortunately, there is this K-shaped recovery that happened. Everybody struggled in their own way. I don't want to kind of just undermine that, but not all things with the COVID-19 effect improved. But I want to kind of focus on the positive side of things, the positive side of this trend, because a lot of people that are watching my videos are really looking at like, how do I use some of this trend analysis, some of this information, and apply it to my business? Mention this a little bit, but like the COVID-19 effect, like what were some of those like underlying drivers that caused this effect with children, their nutrition. Virtual schooling really gave them the opportunity to kind of micromanage their kids' lives in a lot of senses. A lot of the meals were now being cooked at home, so they had a little bit more of control over what their kids were eating. Kids were also eating more at home just overall because they were at home, so a lot more snacking, a lot more things. So they were able to kind of stock and hopefully give them the best chance or the best nutrition possible to kind of get them through this difficult period. Also, because a lot of parents, and I say parents, but I'm really kind of meaning moms. Unfortunately, females have gotten the grunt of kind of losing jobs or having to quit their job to stay home and make sure their kids are able to continue schooling and have a place to be at throughout the day because of what's happening around the COVID-19. And parents have had the opportunity extra to kind of like pay attention to and look for products that maybe specifically are focused on the youth market. Now, parents have always struggled to find what they can put on their kids' plate that they're both going to love to eat and it's going to be nutritionally dense for them. It's going to be something that's better for them, and they're not going to have to constantly fight and do all those things. A lot of like the food and beverage brands have done a really good job at hiding the kind of nasty things that people or kids, even me, probably don't want to eat. And you hide it into like traditional food formats that people are used to consuming. They're doing a lot better. Flavor scientists and a lot of brands as a whole have done a really good job at making better for you CPG a lot more enjoyable. Also, the better for you kind of market has shifted into convenient product formats. That's helped busy parents, that's helped kids be able to just kind of grab and go. Some snacking. Snacking is a phenomenon across all generations. I know that millennials are kind of the snacking generation. They kind of started this trend, but millennial parents have kids now, obviously. So now they're passing some of those traits and some of those behavioral patterns down to their kids. So as better for you snacking's gotten a lot more convenient in formats that are easier, those things have helped just to create a better diet kind of quality score. And I also think just CPG brands in general have done a good job at like calling out a lot of like health information, a lot of like really important kind of nutrition information. So busy parents, or just if you're online and you're searching for some non-branded search terms and things like that, you can kind of get to the right products that you're looking for as quick as possible and kind of provide your family with the right products. Now, what could kind of happen in the future? I think a lot of those like unwritten rules of functional CPG brands not being able to kind of target the youth market is going to just kind of fall to the wayside. I think that as these millennial parents start to make that same shift in their lives from better for you to functional better for you, I think that's natural that the progression is going to also be towards foods their kids consume. So they're going to be a little bit more comfortable with better for you shifting over to functional as they want to kind of share in those positive kind of effects and health benefits with their children. And you can kind of already see this. If you go onto Amazon and you type in kids protein, you'll actually be surprised by how many different products, different brands are offering different like kind of kids protein products. You look at Amazing Grass, which is owned by Glambia. They have a kids line. Orgain has a kids line. Obvi. And then also RX Bar has like a kids specific protein bar line. Now, if you do that same thing on Amazon with non-branded search term like kids supplements, you actually see thousands of listings. And you're going to see those from just general vitamins and minerals. You're going to see sleep support supplements. You're going to see adaptogen type products that are focused on anxiety or stress. And you're going to see just like endless other ones. I was surprised actually how many different product variants and different kind of focal categories they had towards kids and youth products. And you might be thinking, oh, those are just kind of dragging some back-end keywords or something like that. But you could just look at the packaging pretty quickly to realize those are actually geared directly to the youth market. So I was kind of surprised, even me being in the industry and knowing very well this kind of trend that's been happening, just how much is on Amazon. I don't honestly look all that much for non-branded search terms around kids products on Amazon. So I kind of just missed those things. And I'm sure if I miss those things, a lot of you guys watching or listening to this content miss those things as well. I think in the future, you're also going to see a lot of the trends that are happening with like the flexitarian lifestyle start to play into some of the youth products. I think it's just natural that if an adult parent is looking to trade away from like animal-based products into plant-based products, that's going to be something that's naturally going to happen in youth products as well. So maybe that is plant-based protein products being added into just general food and beverage formats. But I definitely think you're going to start to see a lot more plant-based proteins or maybe blended offerings being included into youth-specific products. Now, I talked a lot about just the product side of everything, but what about the marketing side? If we look at that perspective, what could potentially happen in the future here? Kids are obviously easily swayed, and if they see something available, they're going to demand that from their parents. They could be pretty persuasive, that I've heard. I don't have a kid myself yet. But since kids also have access to iPads and different like kind of connected devices earlier and earlier in their lives, and they also have access to maybe social media, maybe not the full access that a lot of us adults do, but they're watching a ton of YouTube. I think it's natural that a lot of these kind of food and beverage companies, supplement companies, just functional CPG companies as a whole, they look for inspiration towards sectors that have already started to look at how do they utilize kids and different marketing strategies to get access to kids. So influencer marketing, I think, is something used a ton in the toy industry. I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see kid kind of like fitness, functional food, healthy eating influencers. I think that maybe is like kind of a little bit out there and maybe is an odd kind of thought to think about. But thinking about myself, I didn't know anything about nutrition when I was a kid. I had no idea what fat, carbs, or protein was until honestly probably I was in high school. I had no idea what any of those things were, and I could care less. I just ate whatever was in front of me. I was a super active kid and I ate like junk. I just ate a ton of junk constantly. I was lucky enough that I probably had a fast metabolism. Plus I loved to play sports and be outside and kind of be active. But I had no idea about any of these things. But kids today, if you listen to them talk and you have access and you have kids yourself, they're a lot more sensitive and understanding of just like diet things, carbs, protein, sugars. Like, I don't know if that's from parents kind of drilling down some of the information or not, but regardless, they understand those things. And if they understand those things, they can see somebody marketing to them in that way. And though it might seem very weird morally, ethically, legally for some people, there's really no kind of laws really out there. There is some private kind of CPG brands and things that have said we're not going to market directly to kids, but overall, it's something that is not like set in stone in terms of like how marketing is done towards the youth market. And influencer marketing as a whole is really kind of a way to backdoor it, regardless of maybe not having the ability to do like TV sales, or maybe you want to take away cartoons and things from boxes and stuff to kind of not sway kids when they're at grocery stores and whatever. But advertisers are not going to quit marketing to the youth market. I think they spend $15+ billion a year towards the youth market. So this is something that's going to definitely continue regardless of what your thought is. But I'd actually would be curious to hear what your thought actually is. So if you do have any thoughts around just like functional CPG brands, better for you CPG brands, marketing and focusing on products specifically to the youth market towards children and kids, what do you think about this? What do you think is going to happen in the future? I would love to hear your comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment down below on the video. I'd love to hear that and would engage with you there. Or if you would like to follow me on any of my social media networks, please just send me a message or comment on any of the posts relating to this topic. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.